My girlfriend, a newly minted superstar, took method acting too far and got pregnant by her co-star. They had filmed an intense, R-rated romance, and it won her the Best Actress Academy Award. At the premiere, facing a barrage of flashbulbs, a reporter asked, "Are you and your co-lead a couple in real life? Rumors say you fell in love on set and are expecting a baby. Is it true?" She offered a shy smile, cradling her stomach while exchanging a deeply affectionate look with her heartthrob co-star. The photo immediately trended #1 on Twitter. While I confronted her in private, heartbroken and furious, she was dismissive. "We sacrificed ourselves for art, Julian. It's not as dirty as you think. Besides, the child is innocent. Whether you like it or not, I'm keeping it." She began attending every gala with him. The media called them a match made in heaven, and she even missed our engagement party. Facing a ballroom full of guests alone, I raised my glass with dignified composure. "Here's to my fiancée and her new boyfriend. May they live happily ever after." I downed the champagne, let the video of my toast go viral, and called my father. I agreed to the corporate merger marriage the family had arranged. "The wedding is in a week," my father said, sounding concerned. "Are you sure you've thought this through?" "Yes, crystal clear." Just as I hung up, Jax Miller barged into my office, ordering my assistant to move his things in like he owned the place. My dad asked what was happening, but I calmly ended the call, watching Jax strut around with arrogant entitlement. "What are you staring at? Move the boxes in. Careful with that. That collectible cost a fortune. You couldn't afford to replace it if you sold yourself." The assistant looked at me, distressed. Jax saw this and sneered. "Starting today, I'm the new man of the house. You all better figure out who you need to suck up to." I waved the assistant out and spoke coldly. "Who approved this?" "Oh," he feigned surprise. "You're here? I didn't even see you." He sat on the edge of my desk, knocking over a cup of water onto my laptop. He picked up a stapler, toying with it. "Serena did, of course. Serena Vane. My fiancée. We had been together for 10 years. I was her exclusive agent, the one who guided her from obscurity to national stardom. She had promised that once she won Best Actress, she would announce our relationship and propose to me on the biggest stage. I waited 10 years. What I got was a trending topic about her and Jax Miller being the screen's best couple and expecting a love child. She had won plenty of awards before. She didn't need to sleep with a co-star to win this one. The only explanation was that she wanted to boost Jax's career. "If you don't believe me, call her yourself," Jax challenged, chin high, wearing a look of mockery. I dialed Serena's number. A ringtone blasted from Jax's pocket. The sound of his laughter filled the office. He pulled out the phone, doubled over with mirth, blatantly showing off. "Oops, sorry. I forgot." Serena left her phone with me. Anger and loss twisted inside my chest. Not only did she give him her phone, but she had also changed the ringtone. Previously, she used a song I composed specifically for her, so she would pick up instantly. If she missed a call, she would apologize with gifts. Now, the ringtone was Jax's debut single. Jax wiped away tears of laughter, twisting the knife in my heart. "Serena says cell phone radiation is bad for the baby. She cares very much about our child. 5 years ago, Serena and I had conceived. She promised to come home and rest after finishing her current shoot, but an accident on set caused an injury, and we lost the baby. The doctor said Serena's uterus was damaged, and she couldn't carry a child to term. She had wept rain and tears, blaming herself. I held her, my heart feeling like it was pierced by thousands of needles, and promised to love her forever, child or not. To reassure her, I even had a vasectomy. But now that narrative seemed false. I grabbed Jax's wrist. "What do you mean?" He shook me off, grimacing in pain, then smirked. "You didn't know? That baby you and Serena lost? She aborted it. Clearly, she wasn't infertile. How else could she get pregnant with Jax after one movie shoot, claiming they used protection?" Serena had lied to me for 5 years, but told this outsider the truth. Behind my back, had they been laughing at my stupidity? Jax, seeing my dazed expression, called the assistant back in. 15 minutes. Throw these useless people and their junk out. The assistant, a young girl named Emily, looked past him to me for instructions. Jax grabbed her chin, squeezing hard. "I'm a future boss. Once Serena has this baby, do you think there will be any room for him? If you're smart." Her hip hit the corner hard, and she gasped, breaking into a cold sweat. I rushed to help her up and shouted for Jax to get out of my office. He spat useless trash and started clearing the desk himself. He picked up a framed photo, a family portrait of me, Serena, and an AI-generated image of what her future child would look like. How can something this ugly be in my new office? He made to throw it. I reached out to grab it, but he suddenly let go. The frames smashed onto the floor, glass shattering everywhere. My heart fractured with it. Pushing aside the shards, I touched the photo. Serena's eyes in the picture were full of love. But a second later, Jax stomped on the back of my hand. Glass shards drove into my palm. As I cried out in pain, he suddenly threw himself backward, falling to the floor, his face contorted into a mask of victimhood. Julian, I didn't mean to. I didn't want to ruin things between you and Serena. Hit me if you want. I deserve it. Jax. A panicked female voice rang from the doorway. Serena Vane rushed in, hesitating for a split second before helping Jax up, completely ignoring me on the floor. We hadn't seen each other in nearly 6 months. Her baby bump was prominent, stinging my eyes. Jax clung to her pitifully. Serena, I just wanted to apologize to Julian. But he called me shameless, hit me, and said he wanted to kill our baby. I don't care about me, but the baby is innocent. His acting was Oscar-worthy. I had nothing to say. I just looked at Serena. 10 years of love and partnership. I refused to believe she didn't know the kind of man I was. Our eyes met. In her beautiful gaze, I saw hesitation and scrutiny, but none of the unwavering trust she once held. Seeing her pause, Jax groaned and collapsed in her arms, clutching his chest. Security. Serena panicked, screaming. Then she looked at me with cold eyes. Call the police. The security guards looked between her and me, bewildered. Serena closed her eyes, refusing to look at me again. Julian Thorne committed assault. Call the police. She put her arm around Jax and led him away. As they passed, Jax opened his eyes, shooting me a look of triumphant provocation. I spent 3 days in lockup. My wedding was in 3 days. Serena picked me up from the station. She said I was lucky Jax was magnanimous enough not to press charges, or I'd be in there longer. She claimed the 3 days gave me time to reflect. I couldn't fathom how she could cheat on me and still act morally superior, nor did I know what I was supposed to be reflecting on. We got into the car. Jax was in the driver's seat. Serena naturally sat in the passenger side. Jax leaned over to buckle her seatbelt, their movements practiced and intimate, like a couple in the honeymoon phase. In the past, I would have argued, fought, gone crazy with jealousy. Now, I felt only a cold chill and a resigned, of course. As the car started moving, Serena suddenly spoke. Even though Jax isn't holding a grudge, you were in the wrong. You should take this opportunity to apologize to him. I'm sorry, I said instantly. My utter compliance flashed a look of surprise across Serena's eyes. But Jax quickly drew her attention back to him. They chatted and laughed the whole way while I feigned sleep in the back. When we got home, my home, Jax opened the door for Serena. I walked past them straight inside. Slept the whole way? You have some nerve, Serena scoffed as I passed. I ignored her. The living room had changed completely. My belongings were gone. I ran to the master bedroom. The large, sweet photo of us above the bed had been replaced by a movie still of them. My clothes in the closet had vanished. Serena entered, looking slightly guilty. Reporters were swarming Jax's place, so I let him stay here. His health isn't great, so I gave him the master bedroom. I packed your things. They're in the guest room. I smiled bitterly. Save me the trouble of packing. Misinterpreting my silence as sarcasm, Serena frowned. If your crazy speech at the gala hadn't trended, Jax wouldn't be dealing with this harassment. The implication was clear. I caused this chain reaction by speaking out at the engagement party, so I deserve this displacement. You're right about everything. I went to the guest room, grabbed my suitcase, and headed for the door. Jax blocked my path. He was holding a small USB drive between 2 fingers. That drive contained a compilation of my marriage proposals to Serena. We had a pact. Every time she trended on social media, I would propose to her in private. Once we reached 99 times, she would propose to me for the 100th time, and we would get married. We were at 98. So sweet. 98 times. Not easy, huh? Jax's tone was dripping with sarcasm. He opened his fingers. The USB drive fell into the toilet bowl of the hallway bath. I instinctively reached to grab it, but he leaned in, whispering, "Picking it up won't help. I already formatted it." Rage shot to the top of my skull. I punched him square in the face. Jax allowed himself to fall backward against the toilet, clutching his face and wailing. It's all my mistake. Julian, don't take it out on the furniture. Serena treasures that drive. What drive? Serena shoved me aside, tenderly touching Jax's swelling cheek before glaring at me. She fished the drive out, dried it, and plugged it into a laptop nearby. Naturally, it was empty. Jax immediately chimed in. Julian, how could you delete the videos? Do you know how long Serena waited for you? Doing this. Aren't you trying to break her heart? Exhausted, I offered a pale explanation. It wasn't me. It was Jax. Serena held her head, her dark hair obscuring her expression. After a moment, She swept the laptop off the table. The crash shattered the silence. She pointed at the door. Get out. Get out now. I laughed in sheer disbelief. Even now, I had foolishly hoped she might believe me. Reality slapped me hard across the face. I grabbed my suitcase and walked out without looking back. As I started my car, I saw her standing on the second-floor balcony, watching me quietly. I looked away, hit the gas, and left that house of heartbreak behind. I checked into a hotel. My mother sent over digital catalogs for groom's attire. I randomly pointed at a set and confirmed it. A knock sounded at the door. Expecting room service, I opened it to a familiar voice. Serena. She looked as stunning as ever, and Jax wasn't with her. Aren't you going to let me in? Speak your mind here. I blocked the doorway. She tried to peek inside. I chuckled. There's no one else. She pushed past me forcefully, walked a circle around the room, and sat down. Seeing the tablet on the coffee table, shock flashed in her eyes. You're picking wedding clothes? I turned off the screen. Just looking. She acted as if she'd caught my bluff, hugging me from behind. Let's get married after the baby is born, okay? Her hard, round belly pressed uncomfortably against my back. I pried her fingers off and raised an eyebrow. Marry me carrying another man's child? Serena, what do you take me for? Her face went pale. She lowered her head. You had the vasectomy, you can't have kids anyway. If we raise this child from birth, what's the difference from your own? If you mind, I can have the baby take your last name. I was speechless with rage. Why did she think betrayal and humiliation could be fixed by a last name? I opened the door. Leave. Serena looked terrible. For 10 years, I had treated her like the moon in the sky. I had never embarrassed her like this. She took a deep breath, approached slowly, closed the door, and burrowed into my chest. I know what you're worried about. Once Jax can stand on his own 2 feet, I'll retire from acting and be your full-time wife. And if he never stands on his own feet, you'll hold his hand forever. I had worked like a dog to get her to the top, and now she was exhausting herself for another man. Serena's smile faltered. She hugged me tighter, her voice turning coaxing. With a top-tier agent like you, how could he fail? The dagger was finally revealed. She pushed me away. She didn't just betray me and humiliate me. She wanted me to act as Jax's agent, to drain my remaining value to make him a star. The child is Jax's, after all, she continued. If he does well, it's good for the baby. I pushed her out the door without a word. She knocked softly, begging. I turned the stereo up to max volume and buried my head under the pillows. My phone lit up. It was Elena Cross, Tang Jing in the old days, my fiancée for the merger. She wanted me to come for a fitting. When I left the room, Serena was gone. At the boutique, the suit I had randomly selected fit perfectly. It made me look sharp, dashing. The salesgirl had hearts in her eyes. Wow, so handsome, as expected of Miss Cross's design. The clothes are great, but the man makes them. I looked in the mirror, remembering how Serena and I used to discuss wedding designs. Suddenly, arms wrapped around my waist. Elena had appeared from somewhere, hugging me from behind, her warm breath near my ear. Very handsome. It was a standard compliment, but my face heated up. I heard you design this? How did you know my measurements? A soft chuckle near my ear. Her long, slender hands moved over my torso. Like this. The atmosphere in the room spiked 10 degrees. I turned my head, meeting her deep, dark eyes. She leaned in slowly. My heart pounded like a drum. Just as I closed my eyes, a phone rang, shattering the mood. It was Serena. She sounded frantic. She needed me to pick her up. I looked at Elena. She stepped back, giving me space, telling me to handle my business. After hesitating, I decided to go, not out of love, but because she was a pregnant woman alone, and years ago during a studio fire, she had dragged me out of the flames. I owed her a life debt. I said goodbye to Elena and drove to the address Serena sent. It was remote. Night fell by the time I arrived. I tried to call for her exact location, but the call wouldn't connect. I waited. 5 hours passed. I dozed off. I woke up to cold steel against my neck and a vicious voice. Money. Now. A stranger had opened my car door, holding a knife to my throat. I stayed calm, but we were in the middle of nowhere. He took my wallet, my phone, and my watch. But luckily, I had memorized the new address Serena had managed to send before my phone was taken. Driving on fumes in the early morning light, I reached the destination, a private clubhouse. I found a private room. Inside, people were cheering. It was the crew's rap party. I didn't see Serena, but I saw Jax. He swayed over, kicking the first aid kit I was holding. He sneered. You actually came. A phone rang, Jax's phone, on speaker. It was Serena. Did he arrive? Did you see Jax? I see him, I gritted out. Jax got hurt a little, but I couldn't make it there. I had to trouble you, she said. I scanned Jax. The only thing that could be called an injury was a microscopic scratch on his finger. I picked up the heavy first aid box and smashed it into Jax's head. No trouble at all. The endless provocations snapped my last nerve. I pinned him down, fists flying. "You're hurt? That scratch isn't enough. Let me help you with that." People in the room rushed to stop me, but I threw them off. Someone called the police. I didn't care. I was venting pure rage. Then, a familiar perfume invaded my senses. I was yanked back, and a slap landed hard across my face. Through the haze, I saw a heavily pregnant Serena throw herself protectively over Jax. I scoffed, unclenched my fists. The person I had loved for 10 years. I finally let go completely in that moment. Jax's face was bloody. Serena held him, glaring at me with hatred. "Julian, how could you? Jax is the father of my child. Do you want the baby to be born without a father? I agreed to marry you. The baby would take your name. What more do you want?" she screamed. "Julian, you've disappointed me." I looked down at the tragic lovers and spoke calmly. "Then let's break up." Serena froze, staring at me in disbelief. I turned to walk away. She did the unthinkable. She dropped the injured Jax and grabbed my hand. "What did you say? What breakup?" She spun me around. Her pupils dilated as her gaze fell on the side of my neck. There was a bloody line where the knife had been. "How did you get hurt?" She looked concerned, reaching to move my collar. Her eyes tightened. "Where's your necklace?" When we were dirt poor, Serena had used her first paycheck to buy me a silver necklace. I hadn't taken it off in 10 years. Just hours ago, the robber took it. I brushed her hand away. She looked me up and down. "Why are you wearing a groom's suit?" "I'm getting married," I said, straightening my jacket. "Serena, wish me a happy wedding." Her eyes went wide, paralyzed by shock. I didn't look at her again. I turned and left the room. Tomorrow was my wedding day. The midnight bells rang. I rushed to the wedding venue. Green lawns, red and white roses, a pristine arch, a solemn priest. My bride walked through the floral gate toward me. The moment our hands joined, my breath hitched. Elena was breathtakingly beautiful today. We exchanged vows and rings. But just then, Serena burst in. She was wearing a white wedding dress, her belly protruding sharply. She shouted my name. "Julian, don't marry her." We agreed to marry after the 100th proposal. Emily told me everything. The office incident, Jack set you up, and the USB drive. I recovered the data. Our proposal moments are all there. She rushed forward, dropping painfully to one knee under the complex gaze of the crowd. "Julian, will you marry me?" I looked past her to Jax, who had chased her here, looking frantic. "If I marry you, what happens to your child's father?" The crowd murmured. Seeing Serena, they assumed I was the one who had messed up. Guests looked at me with disdain. My father-in-law's face was black with thunder. But Jax's arrival saved me. He tried to pull Serena up, but she shoved him away ruthlessly. Humiliated in front of so many elites, Jax snapped. "You're carrying my kid, and you come here to crash your ex's wedding?" Serena, if you have no shame, I still do. Serena, unwilling to give up, shot back. "So what if it's your child? I will only have Julian as a husband. The child will only have him as a father. If it weren't for you, Julian would never have broken up with me." She turned back to me, holding out the USB drive. "Julian, only we know how hard the road has been. You won't forget everything we had, right?" I took the USB drive. Her face lit up with joy. The next second, I hurled the drive as hard as I could. Splash! It landed in the decorative river next to the lawn. Without thinking, Serena dove into the water. Jax cursed and jumped in after her. It took a long time to fish her out, but Serena wasn't grateful. She pushed him away. "You're ruining everything. Who suggested we make the movie romance real? You said you were bored with your boyfriend. You said you loved me and wanted to marry me. Now you deny it." Jax yelled. "You're lying. I never said that. You're a liar. You hurt Julian, and now you're hurting me." They screamed accusations at each other. Suddenly, Serena cried out in pain. A bright red stain blossomed beneath her dress. Chaos erupted. My father-in-law ordered security to throw them both out. Elena looked at me with concern. "Do you want to go check on her?" I shook my head. I pushed her ring all the way on her finger and kissed it reverently. The Thorncross merger wedding and Serena's wedding crashing took the top 2 spots on Twitter. Elena asked if I needed help handling the PR. I shook my head. I could handle this. After the honeymoon, I returned to the company. I was packing up my old office when Jax walked in. He had his smug face back on, showing off an engagement ring, the same one Serena had tried to propose to me with. I ignored him, but he blocked my exit. "Well, she chose me in the end. Your 10 years were just a joke." I shoulder-checked him and walked toward the CEO's office. He followed, yapping like a terrier. Good news, the baby survived. My genes are tough. I sat down in the CEO chair and called Emily in to organize files. Jax checked the sign on the door, CEO office, and kicked my box. Did you eat a bear's heart for courage? Is this where you sit? While cursing me as unruly trash, he yelled for Emily. Emily, still my loyal assistant, ignored him and handed me 2 documents. I signed the first one. As I went to sign the second, I saw Jax's name. I looked up to see him looking down his nose at me. This is Serena's order. Don't make trouble for yourself. Serena wanted to sign Jax to the agency, with me as his agent. I scanned the contract, then signed my name with a flourish. Jax snatched it away. Who do you think you are? Why are you signing? Emily stepped in. Julian Thorne is the executive CEO of the company. He didn't believe it, calling Emily brain damaged. Then he saw the appointment letter on the desk, the first document I had signed. My parents had founded this agency solely to protect Serena. Now that we were done, I didn't need to stay a lowly agent. I took over the family business. The insults stopped. Jax froze, eyes glazing over, strength leaving his body. I clasped my hands on the desk. Jax Miller, welcome to the team. He tried to rip the contract, but Serena rushed in and knocked him aside. I hadn't seen her in a month. She looked like a skeleton, no makeup, dark circles under her eyes. She pushed Jax away and explained frantically, Julian, don't listen to him. He's a compulsive liar. I won't be with him. My heart only has you. You're carrying my kid. Why would he want you? Jax sneered. Then he paused. Where's the baby? You said it was saved. Serena's stomach was flat. She spoke calmly. I aborted it. Jax looked like he'd been struck by lightning. He grabbed her shoulders, shaking her. It survived the fall. How could you be so cruel? Are you even human? You don't deserve to be a mother. I signaled security to drag him out. As his curses faded down the hall, Serena tucked her hair behind her ear, looking at me with watery, tender eyes. She slowly approached and hugged me. Julian, you haven't changed. Still so soft-hearted. I know you still care. That wedding was just to make me realize my true feelings, wasn't it? I tried to push her away. Her bones felt sharp against me. She hugged tighter. After you left, I realized how important you are. I can't live without you. I'll quit acting immediately. I'll be your wife. For 10 years, whenever things got hard, she would hug me like this and talk about our future. We used to lie under the stars, dreaming of her retirement and our grand wedding. She said it for 10 years. I believed it for 10 years. But now, I was done lying to myself. I pushed her away. Thanks for the offer, but I have a wife. I love her very much. I plan to spend the rest of my life with her. I walked back to my desk. In the future, let's keep it professional. She followed, but stopped when she saw my computer wallpaper. It, and every frame in the room, was replaced with photos of Elena and me. I didn't look at her. I asked Emily to show her out. The door opened and closed. Emily came back in, starry-eyed. Boss, you were so cool. You don't know, while you were gone, Jax acted like a tyrant because of Serena. He even tried to mess with the accounting department. Accounting? I smelled blood in the water. For a long time after that, I gave Jax the best resources. Money, connections. He skyrocketed to A-list status. Emily was confused, and the staff was shocked. Even Jax came to ask me, what game are you playing? You're my star. Isn't it normal to promote you? He was suspicious, but couldn't find a trap. No one rejects fame and fortune. He muttered, glad you know your place, and dove into a life of debauchery. Fame brings scrutiny. Soon, gossip accounts started digging into Jax's past. Sugar mamas, dubious connections. The internet argued, but I didn't let it slide. I immediately sent legal notices to the gossip accounts on Jax's behalf. It backfired beautifully. The public's rebellious streak ignited. They dug deeper. Gigolo, escort, sleeping with fans, dark secrets poured out. My PR department pretended to spin in circles. Jax was trending every day for the wrong reasons. The company made a fortune, and I started auditing his financial interference. Online, his R-rated movie with Serena resurfaced. A comment stood out. Actually, they did it for real. Jax poked holes in the condom. Otherwise, Serena wouldn't have gotten pregnant. Among the "Is this real?" replies, a verified insider confirmed it. Serena's Twitter exploded. She stayed silent. Jax lost his cool first. He stormed into my office, screaming that I was incompetent. You did these things yourself. You blame others. I asked. He grabbed my collar. You did this on purpose. You built me up just to destroy me. I built you up to make money. The smear campaign isn't me. If you were actually clean, no mud would stick. He started smashing things like a lunatic. Serena arrived to see the chaos. The former golden couple looked at each other like mortal enemies. Serena slapped him. You got me pregnant on purpose? You trapped me. Don't act like a victim. Jack screamed. You threw yourself at me. You said you felt guilty about your abortion and your boyfriend getting a vasectomy, so you wanted a baby for me. You begged for it. Don't play the saint now. He grabbed her hair violently. And you lied to me. You said the company listened to you, that you could keep me famous. Look at me now. He threw her into the corner. Her head hit the wall, and blood flowed instantly. I watched coldly. Serena hadn't lied. The company did listen to her once. Because I loved her. Now, without my love, she was nothing. I called an ambulance for Serena and legal for Jax. When Jax saw the lawsuit, his eyes bulged. Why are you suing me? I pointed to the contract. It clearly stated that if the artist violated morality or laws causing significant loss to the company, they owed astronomical damages, and the company could terminate unilaterally. He couldn't believe his eyes as security dragged him out. That night, a recording of their office argument leaked online. When Serena woke up in the hospital, the internet had turned. Those who sympathized with her were now cursing her. People tried to find the devoted ex-boyfriend of 10 years, but I had scrubbed the internet clean. Elena hugged me from behind, fresh from the shower, smelling of jasmine. I want to hide you away. You're too charming. She frowned playfully. She was the one who had scrubbed my info from the web. I knew she was protecting me. In a way, she and Serena were alike, both strong women. But Serena used her strength to suppress me. Elena used hers to shield me. What are you thinking about? She asked. When this is over, let's go on a trip. Okay, whatever you say. Jax's verdict came down quickly. He owed the company millions and went to prison for statutory rape involving minors. The day the verdict came out, Serena terminated her contract. She looked like a ghost, emaciated and broken. I didn't ask for damages. I wished her well. She handed me a box. Inside was a necklace, identical to the one I had lost. Back then, your eyes lit up when you saw it, she whispered. I thought, no matter how hard it gets, I'll climb to the top and give my prince the grandest wedding. Tears fell silently onto my desk. She wiped them away stubbornly. The industry is a swamp. I thought I learned to swim in it. But when I saw Jax, I was confused. He looked so much like you. Like the old you and the old me. Clean, pure, obedient. A resilience that wind couldn't topple and fire couldn't burn. Just like we were at the start. We were like that once. Naive fools at dinners full of sharks, refusing the drug drinks, even if it meant getting slapped or burned with cigarettes. Serena took every role, from corpse to extra to 3 lines. The first time her face stayed on screen for more than a minute, we cried all night holding each other. But opportunities are rare. A producer offered to sponsor her in exchange for her body. Serena poured red wine over his head. At 3 a.m. that night, I was vomiting from stress drinking when I got the call. She was in the hospital, beaten badly. She wouldn't tell me who did it. That was the first time I bowed my head and asked my parents for help. They started the agency for her. My dad insisted on the morality clause in the contract, the one that destroyed Jax. He said feelings don't beat interests. I argued with him, swearing Serena would never betray me. I never thought I'd use that weapon on her lover. Serena didn't betray me for money. She betrayed me for emotion. So I took back my emotion and left her the money. I shouldn't have trusted him, she wept. He deleted the USB. He set up the robbery. I know, I said. I don't care anymore. She handed me a file, evidence of Jax's tax evasion. Hope this counts as some compensation. I asked where she was going. She looked out the window. A small village somewhere. Quiet. For the rest of my life. That was the retirement plan we used to talk about. Hearing it now, I felt nothing. Elena walked in, heels clicking, handing me a report with a beaming smile. She was pregnant. I was overjoyed. I picked her up and spun her around. Put me down, she laughed, pinching my nose. You're acting like a kid. You're pregnant. No high heels. I took her shoes off. I'm not that fragile. I pressed my ear to her stomach. Baby, I'm your dad. It's too early to hear anything, silly, Elena said, ruffling my hair. Serena stood to the side, stunned. I thought you. I got a reversal after the wedding. The surgery was successful. She instinctively covered her flat stomach, looking lost. A moment later, she excused herself. I found out later that because she jumped into the cold river while pregnant and had multiple abortions, she could likely never conceive again. Years later, Elena, our child, and I were traveling. We stopped in a scenic small town. We heard children laughing. It was an orphanage. A female teacher was surrounded by kids. Elena said she'd go crazy dealing with that many, but the teacher was patient. She looked familiar. Just as I stepped closer, a man charged in. I knew you were here. House is empty. No dinner. And you're playing with these brats? If you have time for this, give me a son. The man dragged the teacher by her hair. The kid screamed, throwing toys at him. He kicked a toddler away and kept dragging the woman. Elena looked furious. I couldn't stand it. I rushed in and punched the man in the face. Who the hell? He looked up. Tom stopped. The man was Jax Miller. The woman was Serena. I learned later that Serena became a teacher here, treating the orphans like her own. She was content. But then Jax got out of prison. Jax couldn't act, didn't want to work, and tried to leverage his looks. He had come to me first, begging for money or a job. I had thrown him out. He found a wealthy older woman, sugar mama, and lived well for a bit. But she wanted a son. Jax tried, but she couldn't conceive. He blamed her, got beaten up, and got kicked out. Desperate, he saw Serena on a local news segment about the orphanage. He tracked her down. He blamed her for his life, harassed her, and demanded she bear him a child to pay him back. Now, seeing me, he smirked through bloody teeth. You still like her? Fina, give me $5 million, and she's yours. I punch him again. She's a human being, not an object. Show some respect. Respect costs money, he spat, wiping blood from his mouth. I threw him to the ground. Elena took Serena to our rental cottage to clean up. That night, deep in sleep, I heard a thud. I opened my eyes groggily to see Serena standing at the foot of the bed. I was startled. Serena? She smiled through tears. Julian, having your love for 10 years was my greatest luck. And I love you. She turned and left. I tried to sit up, but felt heavy drugged. Downstairs, I heard a man's voice. Took you long enough, you bitch. Don't try any tricks. The curse cut off into a gurgle. Serena had slit his throat. Jax died. Serena turned herself in. When the police came, they found a used sedative syringe on the floor of my room. She had ensured I wouldn't wake up to stop her or witness the horror. Through the glass in the visitation room, she wished me happiness. I nodded. I will be. When I walked out of the prison, Elena was waiting, pouting. If you stayed in there any longer, I would have fermented into a bottle of vinegar. A jealous rage. I feigned surprise. Really? I love vinegar. We kissed, sensing cold drops on our faces. I looked up. After a month of scorching heat, it was finally raining. Story complete.